Okay, hey guys, it is Shine Love 3, I think, and today I wanted to do a video about some friendships and stuff. I was thinking about, I know this around back to school time, I know that a lot of you are going to be starting new friendships and stuff, and so I want to do this video. So first off, I want to say, if you can hear my fan, I'm sorry, it is super hot. Hey y'all, this is my great niece. If you watch my roommate horror story video, this is the baby that was born like right in the middle of that. Say hey. Okay, she don't want to say hey. She's very mean. But anyway, yeah, if you hear talking, there's like people talking in the other room that I really can't control, and there is also my fans going because it's hot as Satan's taint down south where I live. So bye bye. So yeah, I need it. So I'm sorry if you can hear the buzzing in the background. I'm trying to speak as loud as I can without yelling, or I'll raise the audio in post-production. And she wants to get picked up again. And if you keep seeing this little thing, I don't know, she won't let me. Okay, you clapping? Okay, so yeah, so I'm gonna start off with my this is gonna be a story about a bad friendship. Oh my god. A friendship horror story, I guess you could say. And, okay. Shh. Okay. So, all right. Okay. So the story starts off when yeah, she wants me to clap. Okay. So the story starts off when I was in ninth grade. When I was in ninth grade and my freshman year in high school, I had a, oh my god, don't do that. No. I had a group of friends that I had, oh my goodness. I had a group of friends that I had for like years, for 2 years. I went to high school with pretty much everybody that I had been friends with in middle school. And within my friend group, we all still kind of hung out. Within the group, everybody kind of had like at least one friend who was like their best friend, but then we're all really close. I had a friend who I'm gonna call Rachel. The names are changed. I had a friend, no, Jesus, don't have children. I don't have children, and I know. And I had this one friend, Rachel, who was like the goofy, like fun-loving friend of the group. I was more of the like comedic, dry wit, sarcastic type of friend, and she was just the goofy, all-out friend. Rachel had a friend named Lauren who was like her best friend in our friend group, and we would all hang out like in the mornings at school. Like in the mornings we would all hang out in the courtyard, and we'd sit on the bench together, and whenever the people that were always there first were Lauren and Rachel, and then there was my friend, I'll call her Jalen, and a couple other people. So when we would get to school and stuff, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And so we'd be hanging out over there. When I would get to school, would be Rachel and Lauren and like everybody else there. I always got there kind of late. I wasn't always the last person to get there. It would be my friend Brittany would get there last or whatever. So I was the type of person, oh my god, what is that? I was the type of person, I would always be very, vocal. I'd always try to be like, hey, how are you to everyone when I got there in the morning. We'd always talk and stuff. But Lauren would never talk. Like, she was always with Rachel, and she would just never talk. Like, if you would speak to her, she would just never speak back. She would just kind of look at you. She would never, like, say hey or anything. And I don't know, at first I was thinking she's just shy or whatever. But I was still trying to talk to her, and it was just to no avail. So I was just like, okay, whatever. We were in one class together in ninth grade. We were in French together, and she didn't hang out with me and my friend, I'll call her Adrian. We had that same class together, all three of us, but she wouldn't talk to me and she wouldn't talk to Adrian. She just kind of kept to herself or talked to other people. So, just like whatever. I eventually was like, I'm not gonna keep saying hey to this girl if she doesn't want to talk to me. I didn't know if she didn't like me or whatever, but I just didn't feel the need to keep reaching out if she wasn't gonna, do the same. So fast forward to 10th grade, we are again in another class together. We're also in the same like French class together, and we also have a couple other classes together. And she had kind of come around a little bit. She still wasn't very close with us, but she'd, at least be like waving. She's the one to say hey or whatever. Anyway, her and Rachel had a disagreement and a falling out. Rachel ended up saying something to her that she didn't like, and they just cut off all contact, just like went completely out of bounds on the friendship. You guessed it, right after that, Lauren became super close with me. Not only me, but another friend that we had named Nadia. She just became super close with us. Us two were like, me and her and Nadia were like this. So, you know, I was like, okay, look at this new friendship. I did think it was kind of weird that we didn't become close until after that, but I didn't really want to focus on that because that was negative, and I didn't want to focus on the negative. A new friend is a new friend to me. So we started to hang out in that class. We always partner up. She moved her seat beside mine. We sit together, we talk, and we found out we had a lot of stuff in common, and like we just became really close, and we had classes together. We're in honors classes, both of us, and I don't know about you guys, but where I'm from, the school that I went to, a lot of times in honors classes, like you would have maybe like you were lucky to have 2 or more like black people in your class, or people of color in general. Like it was just our school, the way our school was set up, I know it sounds crazy, but it was just weird. Like all my life, it was always kind of annoying being like one of the only black people in a class, and it just makes it very awkward when you're learning about like the civil rights movement or slavery. It's like all eyes are on you because you're like the only black person in the class, and it didn't feel like that anymore having Lauren be in classes with me. We kind of bond over that and stuff. So we had the same interest in music. We liked the same kind of shows. We liked the same kind of jewelry, clothes, music, everything. Like we just had a lot in common. And when we'd hang out in these classes, we'd hang out in others, and things like, I wouldn't say we were inseparable, but we were just really close. We text each other like all the time, every day. I started hanging out with her more than my other friends. Same with her. She'd hang out with me and Nadia more than our other friends and stuff. And it was like, okay, this is a cool friendship. She ended up getting a boyfriend in like kind of towards the first quarter, like towards the end of the first quarter of like 10th grade. She started talking to this dude on Facebook, and she kind of like, this guy ended up adding like all of her friends as siblings on Facebook, and so it was so awkward. And she ended up talking to another guy while she was still talking to that guy. And so it kind of became a mess because her friends kind of got tangled up into it, because she would ignore guy number 1 to talk to guy number 2. Mind you, she had never met either of them. They had only talked over Facebook. And she was the type of girl, like, she was Facebook famous, got like hundreds of likes on photos on Facebook and stuff, which was kind of weird because in person, in class, she was very shy, very quiet, didn't really talk to a lot of people. And so she'd get all this attention online. It was, I'll get to that later, how that was weird. But she would talk to this dude, and basically guy number 1 would be messaging us. Like if she would ignore guy number 2 to talk to she would ignore guy number 1 to talk to guy number 2. And whenever guy number 1 would be like, oh, have y'all heard from Lauren? And then we'd just be like, either ignore him or be like, no, because we were like saving her ass, so she wouldn't get caught for being with guy number 2. So I didn't know what to do about that. It was just awkward, and eventually she broke up with guy number 1. So Christmas break, no, this is before Christmas break, it got to the point where like she would never talk to me. Whenever she was talking on the phone with guy number 2, she'd be like, oh, text me, call me like as soon as you get home from school so we can talk about this and stuff. And she would not talk to me. She would be on the phone with that guy, and she would like ignore me. So it's like, okay, this is weird. And then, when I'd call her, she would either give me like snappy one-word replies like, okay, all right, bye, stuff like that. So I kind of felt some type of way. I was like, this is awkward. Like, because you're talking to him, you can't talk to me. Now, I was in a relationship at the same time. In 10th grade, I was in a relationship with somebody, and I still gave my friends like the same amount of time as my boyfriend. Like, I didn't think it was right. Like, I don't know, I don't think it's cool as a girl, like especially when you've had a friend longer than the guy that you're dating. I don't think it's right to just completely abandon your friend and like devote all of your time to your boyfriend. Like, I understand, I feel like you should have like divided time. I don't mean like equally divided time, but I mean you can't just dump your friends, and your friends are the ones that have had your back, and your friends are the ones that always have your back. So I felt some type of way, but I just I kind of backed off. I wasn't always texting her and stuff. But then we get to school the next day and she'd be like, why didn't you text me? Or why didn't you text me last night? And it'd be like, okay, because when I texted you, you said you were talking to your boyfriend and you weren't really paying me any attention. And she was just like crazy like that. Like she just she was hypocritical like that. Like she was a hypocrite. And so anyway, Christmas ended up rolling around, and Christmas break, we get like 2 weeks off for break, we leave. She tells me like, oh, make sure you text me because I know it's going to be boring. She was going back to her hometown for a couple of days, and she still lived in our state, but she just lived in a different city at first. So she told me like, make sure you text me, make sure you call me, like do it. And she was always kind of like demanding, like she was always like you better call me or whatever. Okay, so where was I? Anyway, Christmas break rolled around and she was telling me, you know, make sure you text me, make sure you call me during Christmas break. Oh, God. Saying, you know, make sure you text me, make sure you call me during Christmas break. And, you know, and I was like, okay, you know, whatever. So the first day of Christmas break, I call her and I'm like, you know, hey, you know, how are you? And she was like, oh, you know, I'm good. And she was really, you know, like eager to talk, like happy and stuff. So I was like, okay, maybe we're going to a different point in the friendship. She was just really talkative. She's like, oh yeah, you know, I miss you already. And, you know, it's kind of boring out here, but, you know, I'm glad to be out of school. We talked about stuff that we were doing, like talk about our families and all this kind of stuff. And she was like, you know, I'm going to be meeting boyfriend number 2. I'm going to be meeting him, you know, this weekend, like today. So tell me like what to do, you know, like give me pointers. And she was like, make sure you stay on the phone with me because I don't know what to do. And I was like, well, you know, just if y'all are meeting in the park, you know, just wait for him to talk to him. Make sure you hug him, tell him you're glad to see him, stuff like that. And she was like, okay, thank you, thank you. So we stayed on the phone for like 3 hours because she was like waiting to meet him. We stayed on the phone. She was like, don't hang up, please don't hang up. I might need you. And so, you know, we were talking and she met up with him eventually, and as soon as she got up with him, she was like, okay, bye. I'm like, okay, maybe you don't need my help anymore. After that, you know, I decided to text her like later that day, call her and see how everything went, and she was back to the snappy one-word replies, you know, just seemed aggravated. So I was just like, okay, forget it. And she was like, I'll call you later. I was like, okay. So I hung up and I was just like, you know what, back to the same old. So she didn't talk to me the rest of that break. I didn't reach out to her because I got to the point where, I don't know, I get tired of always being the one to reach out. That happens to me a lot in friendship. Excuse me. I don't know, I'm realizing that happens to me a lot where I'm always the person that's always got to reach out. That gets tiring after a while. Always being the one to make the first move, I get tired of that, and I'll just eventually just stop talking to you if it keeps going to that point. So she ended up like not talking to me the rest of the break. She was still on Facebook and stuff. She would never like anything I posted or comment, which she used to do a lot. And I was just like, okay, whatever. You know, I was still talking to my other friends. It was goodness, I put on Facebook, I was like, it's funny how hold up, no, I'm going too fast. She had sent me a text earlier that day asking me if I could put some music on her new MP3 player she got for Christmas. And I ignored like the message. I was like, really? I was like, so you haven't talked to me all break, but you talk to me when you need something. So me being my little petty self, I went on Facebook that day and I was like, it's funny how people only talk to you when they need something. And you know the saying, you know how they say a hit dog will holler? Guess who's in my inbox now? All these statuses I've been posting all Christmas break, you haven't liked, you haven't laughed, you haven't done crap, you haven't commented or anything. And the moment I say something, you know, you comment. She didn't comment. She ended up messaging me. She sent me a message. She was like, little girl, I know that status is not about me. And I'm sitting here like, if the shoe fits, wear it. And then I was like, why would you think that's about you? And she was like, I don't know, LOL. And I was like, LOL. It was like, you know exactly why it's about you, and you know that it is. But you know, I was just like, whatever. And I caved in, which is bad. I caved in and was like, yeah, I'll do it. So, you know, we get back to school, you know, she's still not talking. She only talks when she wants something, tell me about everything. And she's like, why didn't you call me back? And I'm like, because you said you were going to call me, and every time I call you, you hurry up and get off the phone, or you don't text me, you give one-word replies because you're with him. I'm not going to compete for your attention. I know this sounds so, like, it sounds so stupid, like, now that I'm looking back, like, so many years later, like 4 years later, when I look back, it's just like, really? But anyway, that was, you know, what we went through with that situation. Afterwards, like, she did other stuff that kind of bothered me. When we were in class, we ended up having this project that we did working together. We were with another girl that was in our class with this project, and she I was telling them how to do it, and they didn't listen to me. Like, the third girl in our group, she really just didn't care. She was just like, basically, I just need to finish this to get like a good grade. She really didn't care about everything. She was just like, as long as we get a good grade, I don't care. Lauren kept trying to argue the directions with me and be like, no, that's not how you do it. I'm like, girl, you should listen to me because my grades are always better than yours. You should listen to me. Anyway, we ended up doing the project. They did it. Lauren did it her way, and the other girl followed her way. I did it my way. Guess who gets a 99, and guess who gets 86s? I get the 99. They get 86s, and she's like, how did you get a better grade than me? And it's like, what do you mean, how do I get a better grade with you? I always do my homework, and I read directions, and I don't slack off. Like, she was the type, she'd never do homework. She'd always want to copy my stuff, which wasn't a problem with the copying because we would copy each other's stuff, but it was like, at least I put in effort. You know, she never put in any effort and was always relying on me. So that got kind of annoying. Other stuff she would do, like go forward to 11th grade, she would get mad at me for like cussing. Like, I admit I used to cuss like a sailor. I still do. And she would always get mad when I cuss, and she'd be like, oh, that is so unattractive. Like, no guy's gonna want a girl that cusses, and that's so unladylike. And I'm like, really? But she started talking to this other guy, and she started cussing just as bad as I did, or even worse. Then, like, she'd always talk to me about, like, how I dressed. Like, I would always have a little bit of cleavage. She'd always complain, like, oh my God, why you have your chest out? Why you have your boobs out? You need to put your boobs away. And it was like, I'm sorry that you don't have enough chest to have cleavage like I do. Like, stop. I don't know, like, I don't know why it bothered her. It was not, like, aggressive. I didn't have my boobs, like, pushed up to my chin or anything like that. It was just respectable, normal, like, cleavage. Like, it wasn't even that much to even call it cleavage, but she'd be offended by that. She never liked me getting compliments. I always wore, like, crazy earrings. Like, you see, I love to wear earrings, like, in crazy prints and patterns and stuff. And I had this pair of earrings. I'm going to show you the pair of earrings because I still have them. This is so ridiculous, but I don't know. These earrings right here, I got these earrings. I can't remember where I got them from, but they're like leopard print lightning bolts. And I love, and one of them's broken. Anyway, I love wild, crazy earrings, and I always wore wild and crazy jewelry and stuff in high school. And we had an English teacher. We were like in IB English, and our English teacher would always make comments and give me compliments on my earrings. He'd always be like, oh, you know, he'd call me by my real name. He'd be like, oh, you have like pretty earrings. Those are cool. Those are crazy. And she would sit there and be like, thank you. And he would clearly say my name, and she'd be like, thank you. And then everybody in the class would be looking at her like, what? And like, we had this other friend. She would always nudge her and be like, he's not talking to you. And she would just get mad, and it was always so awkward because he'd be giving me a compliment, she'd be like, thank you, and then he'd be like, I was talking to me, and then she'd be like, oh, and it's like, she didn't like me getting attention. Like, it bothered her that I got attention, that I had confidence in myself. I guess she felt like, and you know, she got mad at the reason her and Rachel fell out. She said that Rachel called her fat. Rachel said she did not call her fat. Rachel said that she said something about eating, and Rachel was like bigger than her, I think, or whatever. I don't know the specifics, but she always tried to make little like pointed remarks and stuff. I guess she thought because I was bigger, like I was not my size that I am now, but I still wasn't super skinny back then either. And I know she was like, I don't know if it offended her that I had confidence even at my size. I guess she thought I was supposed to be weak and like had bad self-esteem, which my self-esteem was not what it is now. Like, my self-esteem right now is amazing, but back then it was not even near. But I still had confidence in myself, and I guess that offended her that I was confident. She didn't like me getting compliments. She didn't like people showing me attention. She'd be jealous of the type of guys that would talk to me versus who would talk to her. Like, I was the type of person, I had friendships. Like, I could be friends with any group of people. I had friends who were jocks. I had friends who were nerds. I had friends who were preps. I had friends who were golf scene kids. Like, I could fit into any group. Like, that's just how versatile I was. And it was because I was nice. She would mean mug people, and she just not like people for no reason, like how she was with me. And that's why people didn't approach her, and that's why people didn't want to be friends with her. And she'd get mad at me because I would talk to these people like, why are they talking to you? Like, what do you mean, why are they talking to me? Because I'm a nice person. And so that was one thing that pissed me off about her. So anyway, fast forward to 11th grade, she came over to my house. You know, we'd always go meet her for her to come over to my house because I don't drive and my mom didn't drive either. And we'd walk. She didn't live too far from me. We'd walk over there to meet her. It was a little bit of a stretch, but you know, and then like when she wanted me to come over to her house, she wouldn't beat me. She wouldn't try to get her mom to drop me off or anything like that. She always wanted to borrow stuff from me, movies, like CDs, clothes, jewelry. I never borrowed anything from her. One thing that would make me mad though was I'd be like, what are you doing this weekend? She'd be like, nothing. Next thing you know, I go on Facebook and I'd see Nadia posting pictures of them two like at the movies or at the mall or at her house or at Nadia's house. I'm like, okay, that's kind of rude. You didn't even try to offer me an invite, because I was close to Nadia too, but I wasn't as close to Nadia as I was with her. And I remember like me and Nadia were talking like after she left, like I'll get to that later, but me and Nadia were kind of talking, and Nadia was like, she always said you didn't want to come, and it's like, well, she didn't ask me if I wanted to come. But anyway, fast forward to 11th grade, this is when our friendship ended, not just because she moved. So we were in this class. It was this really ratchet housing class, which was basically like a design class, and our class was full of ratchets. There were a lot of ratchets, and there were a lot of like freshman preppy kids, and we were like the oldest people in the class, and we really did not fit in, and it was just so weird. Like, we were the only normal people in the class. We had oh my god, what is that? And we had these two freshmen, like I think one was a freshman, one was a sophomore, that would hang out with us. And the freshman was really, really immature, and the sophomore was like the more mature, like kind of cynical one. The sophomore was the one that always was with me because we had a lot more in common, and the freshman was always with Lauren because they had a lot more in common. So Lauren, we were doing the project. We had to make a dream home. That was a project that we had back then. We had a dream home project where basically you had to design your dream home. So Lauren, we were drawing. Lauren was talking about moving and stuff. That day, Lauren was like asking me like, would I go to the library with her during lunch, because she didn't want to go to lunch. It's like, okay, whatever. We're doing the project. She was drawing a tree or something, and she asked the freshman, she was like, how's this look? And the freshman was clowning her, saying that is ugly. And I was like, oh my god. You know, I wasn't trying to be mean. Like, we'd joke and stuff, because I don't know, I was like the, oh my god, I don't know, something spilled. I was like the artsy one of the group. Like, I had taken all kinds of art classes and stuff. And she got mad because, oh my god, I feel like I keep moving around so stuff keeps falling. And she got mad because we were laughing. I had headphones and I think I was like listening to music or watching something on YouTube while I was working. And she got mad. She was like, I don't know what you're laughing at, because yours looks like crap too. And I was like, okay. And she was like, why are you getting mad? I'm like, I'm not mad. I'm trying to get this project done, because it was like a big percentage of our grade. I think it was like 80% of our grade to get that project done. I was like, I am not mad. I'm going back to what I was doing before. But she kept egging me on, and it was so weird, because it was like, you're the one that made a big deal about the freshmen talking about your project. I've been over here on my phone minding my business the whole time. But she was mad. She kept egging me on. So I just stopped talking. I just went back to doing what I was doing. I just ignored her. She got mad, called me petty, talking about I was a crybaby, and talking about I was mad. I'm like, really? Really? I didn't even argue with her. Anyway, it was time to go to lunch. She ends up going to the library by herself. She didn't even tell me to go. I was like, okay, so you're still mad, obviously. So I just went on by my business. Anyway, she ended up, you know, moving that day. So we never saw each other again. I was just like finally done with her. So I was, in a way, I was glad that she was moving. But me and Nadia started talking after she left, and we found out so many things that we had in common about her, like how she wouldn't want us to talk to certain people, like she liked to have her own friendships with everybody. Nadia told me about how she was basically using her for rides. The reason she always like went places with Nadia was because Nadia's mom was very lenient with her car, and her mom would take them, like they could say, take us to Atlanta, and Nadia's mom would drive them to Atlanta, no problem. She was a user. She used people for what she could get out of them, and she was very hypocritical. Like, she would always talk about girls, like she'd get on me about my cleavage and stuff, and she'd always talk about girls being provocative, like her little sister. She'd always talk about her little sister being provocative and stuff. Her little sister was like 2 years younger than us, or 3 years younger than us. Where's that little black baby come from? Okay, never mind. Duck Dynasty's on, okay, but whatever. Like, she just would say stuff that just was really ignorant and mean. And she would always talk about girls being thirsty and stuff, yet she would be online on Facebook talking to dudes that she never met, and she would thirst trap. She was a thirst trap. You know, that word wasn't even coined back then, but she was a thirst trap. She'd always post pictures, like, very provocatively, scantily dressed. She'd make, like, very provocative posts, and she'd get, like, tons of likes from these dudes, and she'd be talking to one guy as her boyfriend, then she'd have, like, 6 more that she was talking to on the side. And she, I don't know, like, she had manufactured confidence. It was like she only had confidence with guys online, and she'd get mad at people in real life for having confidence. Like, she'd get mad because I would talk to guys, like, in school, and she could only talk to guys online. Like, I don't know if it was jealous. Like, I don't know. That's why I don't understand being jealous at people for certain things. It's like, you get what you give. Like, if you talk to people and you're fun and outgoing, people will come to you. If you're rude and standoffish and you make yourself look unapproachable, people are not going to approach you. And I don't know why it bothered her that people talk to me and stuff, and that I had friendships that she didn't. I don't know why. But she would do that, like, on Facebook, and then she'd be talking about other girls being thirsty, and it's like, you're a catfish. Like, you're completely different online than you are in person, and you get mad at people for doing that. She's a hypocrite. It was weird. Like, we just learned how much we have both. Me and Nadia grew closer, like, talking about how much she had used both of us. Like, she only wanted to be bothered with me when she needed something, she needed her homework done, or she needed to borrow something, or she wanted something. And basically, this video, I just want to say to you guys, don't ever let somebody put you down or use you to get further. I was used, and it's not a good feeling. It's not something you want to happen. Don't let somebody use you. Don't let them tell you what to do. Don't let them control you. If somebody can't be seen with you all the time, if they can't, you know, be respectful for you in the beginning, don't let them, because, you know, the fact that she only became friends with me after her and Rachel fell out it's disgusting. It was, don't ever let somebody use you that way. If they don't want to be friends with you in the beginning, I mean, I understand getting to know people, but if they just only want things from you, don't do that. So I just want to say, for you guys going into school, be careful about your friendships. You know, don't let people use you. Don't let people abuse you. Stand up for yourself. Because I wish there were some times when I should have cut her off a long time ago, but excuse me, it just bubbled up and bubbled up. So let it go before then. Save yourself the heartache and the aggravation of dealing with somebody like that. Just let it go. So again, guys, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful school year. Bye.